Hello to everybody out there. This is Rabbi Pinchas Landis of Jewcast.com, of the Rabbis Podcast, of everything that is right here on the screen right now. And I am here with the one, the only cohort, Rabbi Gamliel Nosson Halevi Spiro of Jewcast.com and Yeshivas Ahavas Torah. And Rabbi Spiro, how you doing? It's so good to be online with you here. What's going on, man?
Good, Baruch Hashem.
Wow, is that Gilligan's Island? Is that the skipper?
Oh my gosh, you think that's
No.
Gilligan's Island?
No, who is that? I don't know who that is. I'm
Yeah.
embarrassed. Rabbi Spiro, you have to remember that you are my senior by about 5 years, so you know some things that I don't know. The
That's
guy in the
the
top.
boat.
That's who?
The Love Boat.
Love Boat. Right. Okay, got it.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I know that wasn't a skipper. I'm sorry, but that guy in the top right did look a lot like Bill Gates. Was Bill Gates on Love Boat?
No, that was what's his name? Oh, Doc.
Got it. But so it's interesting that Rabbi Spiro and I, as we were doing,
It's his real name, by the way. I think he was called Doc in the show.
Got it. So Rabbi Spiro and I were doing our pregame warm up, and we do our intense calisthenics. We lift some weights. It's very intense. Like the warm up, we do some we say some mantras and do some yoga. We do all kinds of things to get ready for this podcast. You watch 40 minutes of it, but you don't realize it literally takes us about 3 days to
A week.
Yeah, from one episode to the next, we are in deep preparation. So in our pregame, we realized that we both have the same comedian. We both love Stephen Wright, who is we can recommend him as the official Rabbis Podcast comedian because he's one of the only completely clean comedians out there and absolutely funny. So that was fun, Rabbi Spiro. I would if this was a comedy podcast, we should probably just tell some Stephen Wright jokes. But the whiteboard's coming out. The whiteboard is coming out. Wow.
That's part one. But look at this. Check this out. It's like an eraser. It's not like an eraser. It's an eraser.
Rabbi Spiro is having too much fun with Zoom features.
Like I told you, sometimes I'm not sure if my life is in real, if my life is on Zoom. So I've learned different ways to to entertain myself.
I hear that.
And then in the beginning, like I'd have Shir and the Bachar, they were doing great. Everyone's doing amazing, but I would see everybody, and then like every day, like less people, more. And then I guess so people realized. So one Bachar had a picture of him like sitting there. That was his picture, though. Like I forgot what it's called, like your avatar, whatever you call it.
On your right.
And I even asked him. I said to him afterwards, I know it's not you. I said it's so still, but like it took me like 3 days to realize like it's not you just sitting there, extremely still. This is obviously not you for real, right? Because
yes, it is.
Right. But yeah, this go. So now when we start Zoom, it's my face is visible. One other bacher, one or two other bacher are consistent, but almost everyone else now is hiding. And then now, of course, we've all learned. I allow the feature. You're allowed to rename yourself, so you all sorts of names and funny ideas. But yeah, Baruch Hashem is doing great. Just it's been a long time. I was talking about a chasna that I went to. One of the Bachar in Yeshiva got married in like mid-January, about 4.5 months ago. And it truly feels like 5 years ago. When I talk about it, remember that guy's chasna? Yeah, vaguely, it was like 5 years ago, right? It's 4.5 months ago, but that's the way time is feeling recently. Purim feels like a year ago. Yeah,
it's like AJ said in our 613 program, which if you haven't watched it yet, it is still available on.
Whoever hasn't watched that, won't even be a run by fruiting. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we know who you are, but if you haven't watched it, so you should check that out. But one of the things that one of AJ's cute lines was that how I mentioned in my talk the whole concept of kimu v'kibul, kimu mashkibul kavar by how that was Purim, how Purim relates to Har Sinai, and AJ's like, yeah, I in many ways it feels like we never moved past Purim because it's all the last event we had before all this was Purim, and then everyone's still very into shalach manos, dropping off snacks and trays and this for their friends. But so what is going on with the yeshiva? So how was davening for Shavuos? Like, where are you guys holding with the opening up?
It was amazing. We had one one of the guys in yeshiva, I'll say, who the Henfield family, Hirsch Henfield, and
Yeah,
his
the
wife
brothers, right?
did a bunch of like little canopies. I'm not sure how to what to call them. We set them up in my backyard, and we used all the canopies, and we learned. It was night. It was beautiful. We had learning, davening, and it was very amazing. It was very, very precious Shavuos. Every Shavuos is precious, but this one in particular, because this a lot of times Shavuos there's a feeling of going with the flow. This year there was no flow, and you had to make it yourself. So I was very happy. Everyone did great. Baruch Hashem was a great and beautiful Shavuos, and we're still, it's not over yet. Shavuos is still happening.
Yeah, we're still in the Shivi Meham and Luim. I've been pretty much every class I've given this week. I've started off with Shavuos idea because it happens to be just the Siyata D'Shmaya. It's things I learned on Shavuos are fresh in my head. So I saw a beautiful piece from Sifsei Chaim that very much connected to our ongoing series of You're a Heretic If, which is I'm loving it. And again, thank you for your recommendation. This is such a delicious book, Sefer. This combined with Rav Weinberg Zatzal's shiurim that I have, it's given me so much great stuff to give over. And but by the way, I think I told you, I don't remember if it was on an episode or not on an episode, but Rav Weinberg is of the opinion that the Ani Mamins are made mistakes. Now, when I don't hear it as much when he goes into it, why he feels that this Ani Mamin does not encapsulate each of the Iker. But Moshe Shapiro for sure embraces the Ani Mamins. I mean, he brings in the Lashon, the Rambam, the full Lashon.
I always forget the name of the person who wrote them, but it was not put together by it was put together by one of the Gedolei Hadar.
Well, you know why you forget the name?
Yeah.
You know why you forget the name because we don't know the name.
But we do know.
No, I don't think we know the name of. I think we might know the name for Yigdal, but not for the Ani Mamins. I think it's I'll have to look. I think but Yigdal we have two possibilities for Yigdal, I believe. And that's another thing that people don't realize because people don't pay attention to their davening. That or even if you go to a shul that says Yigdal, you don't it's some kid up there singing and you're just trying to get home for Kiddush. But Yigdal is also summary of the Yud-Gimel Ikrim and also beautiful. Right. Sure. Yeah, it's also beautiful. So the text we use for the You Might Be a Heretic If is they have everyone has a 20-page Google Doc that I made, which the first page is the Ani Mamins, and then Yigdal. And then it's the actual Lashon of the Rambam, but I gave him the whole intro. Now I didn't go into the intro, but I think that's fascinating. The Rambam's whole very long and extensive intro before he gets into the Yud Gimel, before he gets into the actual Yud Gimel Ikrim. So by the way, so there's according to Wikipedia, there's a scholarly debate as to the hymn's author. Talk about Yigdal. So Lepon Zunz I don't know who that is. Do you know who Lepon Zunz is? Leopold Zunz. Leopold Zunz contends that it was written by Daniel ben Yehuda Dayan, who spent 8 years in improving it, completing it in 1404. Some see it as the last line of Yigdal's signature. Okay, fine. Though it's unclear who that might be. So Hartwig Hirschfeld, maybe he's related to that's Henfeld, never mind. So Hartwig Hirschfeld argues that the famous poet Emmanuel of Rome is the author of Yigdal. So Yigdal is that scholarly machlokes, but I'm pretty sure the Yud Gimel Midos, I'm sorry, the Ani Mamins that there's not even a Havamina.
We know.
Not even a scholarly Havamina as to who wrote them.
But old. It's the Ani Mamins are hundreds of years old.
Right. Right.
End of the Rishonim. We'll do like the end of the Rishonim, beginning of the Achronim, like early 16th century. We have it from there.
Right. It was within a few centuries. I think possibly even earlier, but it was within a few centuries of the Rambam. I think it was within one opinion is probably already within about 2 centuries, meaning by the 1300s. They had let's see here. So I'm back on Wikipedia again. So Wikipedia doesn't even just unknown authorship, unknown authorship. That's all it says.
Interesting. In that time of the Rishonim and early Achronim, it was very important, say for Ikrim and Rabbeinu Chasdai of Kras. A lot of the Rishonim, those that it was very important for them to define what our specific beliefs were.
Exactly, and look, there's many historical reasons for that. I mean, for both Saadia Gaon and the Rambam, they were still very much fighting the Karayim. It was actually this was great that I from when I was in high school, I have a friend who is a Karaite, because there is a Karaite community.
Yeah, go ahead. Go right.
Right. There's a small Karaite community in the old city in Jerusalem, and then there's a small Karaite synagogue in San Francisco. But then again, there's a synagogue for everything in San Francisco, so it makes sense that they have Karaite synagogues. He's from San Francisco, and sure enough, like out of the blue, your Heretic Give is on Zoom, but streamed to Facebook. And he ends up in the class on Facebook, right? And I was like, wow, look at that. Because Rav Saadia Gaon's Amunas Videos was inspired to fight the Karaim, to fight the Karaites. And Rambam very much he had two different axes to grind, for lack of a better way of saying it. He had the Aristotelian philosophy and the Karaim. It was really
Karaim by name. If you look in Hilchos Mamrim, he talks about Tinuk Shnishba. He actually mentions the Karaim by name. But it's interesting. We talk about Karaim. I meant you. I don't want to say his name in our podcast, but there's a podcaster out there who is pretty popular. I can't. So I actually watched some of his videos. Mm-hmm. He is what he claims. I don't know how much verification I give it. He said he claims he is from a from family, and even as a kid, he would always bother him. He would ask his father, who was a rabbi, again, what he claims, doesn't understand all these things the rabbis say in the Talmud were so Talmudic. But what about what it says in the Torah? What about it says in the Old Testament? And no one could give him a good answer. And then he had a revolution happen to him. He found out about the Karayim.
Wow.
Realized he is a Karaite Jew. And he devotes his time, and I was watching his videos, and they're a tiny community. There's one in Northern California. They're based in San Francisco. There's a group in Crimea. Am I pronouncing it right?
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Like 500 there. There's several thousand in Eretz Yisrael. And they even say they don't have monolithic beliefs, what the Karaim believe. He is of the belief that we look at the rabbinical world as a guideline, but we don't take it as a belief. Basically, they're totally confused. And we both know any mitzvah in the Torah, any of the Torah mitzvahs we can name, right, is meaningless without the contextual of Torah Sheba'al Peh. And that's why Hashem gave the Torah. And it cannot be understood. And I would love to debate him. He's such a blowhard. But it's these people, I find them fascinating. But first of all, during the Holocaust, they sold out the Jews, by the way. You know that?
I didn't know that.
Vilna, and they convinced the Nazis they're not really Jewish.
Really?
The Karayim are not Jews. That was number one. And it said that really, but you have to realize in the times of the Gainim and the Rishonim, the estimates are between 30 and 40% of Klal Yisrael in the Middle East was Karayim, which sounds accurate. A tremendously big number. Rav Saadia Gaon pounded them into the ground. Rav Saadia Gaon is really the one who really.
Rav Saadia, and then whatever little bit was left in Egypt, Maimonides finished off.
Rambam finished off, right? But
Rambam, sorry.
They were for a time. It's unbelievable, hard to imagine. They had a 30-40% of Klal Yisrael. The truth is, it's not such a shock because by the second base of Mikdash, what percentage of Klal Yisrael was sectarians, right? Either it's Tzdukim or by Tusim or the other groups. I've heard also very, very high percentages.
Shlomo Melech said it best. Ein kol chadash tachas hashemesh. And I've already I reference it all the time in my history classes and definitely in this you're a heretic if class that Rav Yaakovin says the biggest miracle ever to happen in history is the fact that we're still here. But to be here, you have to be Yisrael. Yisrael, as defined by the Rambam, means that you buy into the Amunas Videos of Yisrael. If not, you're Bnei Yaakov. You can never shirk that. But you're not Amcha. You're essentially not. You're not part of Klal Yisrael once you deny Amunah.
The beliefs.
Right, right. But what's interesting, it's interesting how, just thinking how you mentioned how the Karaim sold out the Jews during the Holocaust. Their whole makeup was that they sold out the Jews because at the time period in Bavel in the 700s or so, when Anan ben David got passed over for being the Gaon, the Reish Galusa, and all that, he went and started his own religion and then got arrested because the Jews had provincial rights. So he got arrested by I guess it was one of the Muslim. It was already Muslim at that time, and he got arrested. And the way that he got out of it was to say that he was not a heretical Jewish group, that he was a new thing called the Karaim. So they're always in their MO that they're like, not really part of us. But I'll tell you, and just an interesting thing about them that I was speaking to Rav David Gottlieb once about my friend from California, and he told me. By the way, I don't know if you heard, Rav David Gottlieb got married a couple of weeks ago. I didn't realize that he was an almond, but he got married to Rebbetzin Heller, which, as I said to Mordechai Bochart, who is his grandson, I said, there are a lot of brains in that house now, an unbelievable amount of brains over there. So I was speaking to David Gottlieb, and he said that we are actually allowed to use the works of the Karaim if we ever get into debates of biblical authenticity. He said their approach to proving Torah Shebeksav is min hashamayim is considered legit, and we can use that, if we ever find ourselves in discussion with Wellhausen, modern scholarship type people. Now, as we all know, no one knows modern scholarship anymore, so it's not necessary.
For the 5 people left in the world who know who Wellhausen
exactly. But it was
in the times of the Rishonim, there were questions. Some of the Karayim did write. They're not called rabbis. They have their leadership group is not called a rabbi. They had it called something else.
Except for the guy in the old city. You ever seen that guy?
No, was he?
Yeah, see if we can find a picture of him. It's a funny thing because he dresses like any other chief rabbi in any other city in Israel.
Really?
Yeah.
In any case, they had debates. There were Karayim who wrote Svarim on Hebrew grammar. So there was debates amongst some of the Rishonim. The question is, if let's say a Karay wrote a legitimate sefer on Hebrew grammar, could you use that sefer just to prove a grammatical point? The grammar today, no one cares about grammar anyway, but in that day. But I was reading one of their blogs, so one of the blogs was talking
You've gotten into this lately, Rabbi Spiro.
I'm fascinated by little, small, crazy groups. They fascinate me. I'm fascinated by the people. There's a group of people who are still Stalinists. Right? I'm not talking about hardcore socialists. United States.
There's a group of people in Turkey who are still Sabbateans.
Right, so the United States of America is almost many, probably 30-40% of people here have socialist beliefs. But I'm talking about there are people not only they're communists also. Then there are the people who are still Stalinists, meaning Stalin, we know, murdered 20-30 million people. There's people who are still Stalinists in this world. So all little crazy groups fascinate me, and I like this little group. So this Karaite was in his blog post was saying how I worry for the Karaite nation. We are really not going to exist in a few years, and he was all worried. Of course, they're not going to exist. They're very small right now. It's a miracle they've made it this far. I give them credit.
It really is. In other words, there's something. And my understanding is essentially because there's a couple secrets to survival, and one, we know our secret to survival, Mark Twain's big question, what's the secret to our survival? It's a connection to Torah mitzvos, right? Without Torah mitzvos, we lose the support of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we'd be long gone a million times over. But you look at these smaller groups that somehow manage to hang around, and really what's their secret? By the way, I'm trying to find a picture of the rabbi. I can't find it. There's all kinds of other pictures of Karaite synagogues, and it's I'll tell you the most fascinating thing. First of all, they pray on the floor like Muslims because there's a heavy Islam influence. And they were, what's that?
They bring rayas from Moshe Rabbeinu Davin and from in Sefer Daniel, how on the floor, Kaira Mishtachave, whatever.
Right. But and also, again, they were yarmulkes, which is totally rabbinical. It's not even rabbinical, it's minig. Yeah, in this picture here, they're on the floor praying like Muslims were in yarmulkes. And Muslims were yarmulkes too. So, but
Right.
anyhow. Yeah, but their rabbi, like the rabbi in the old city, like he could be like one of Ravadia Yosef's kids, the way he dresses.
Really?
Yeah, I'd find a picture. But anyhow, away from the Quran and back to Shavuos. So one of the beautiful ideas that I came across. So also, I thought it was an absolutely beautiful Yom Tov. Just this past week for me has been very emotional in many ways. First of all, because I was one of the people, and a friend of mine actually told me this week that he I have to keep away from him now, not just social distancing, but because he feels like just punching in the face every person who said they actually somehow had an aliyah during this time period. So, but as we know, I had some very personal things, family, people like family who were very sick, who Baruch Hashem recovered, and gained a lot during this time. But as things start to open up, so I was at the Kollel for Shavuos, and I really believe that Revival and Rabbi Katz went completely above and beyond to be able to do as much as they could for the community to make sure as many people as possible had a normal Shavuos. Like my wife sees all my emails, and she mentioned how every email we got, every other email I was getting leading up to Shavuos was from, I'm on all the shul email lists here in town. And those from the different shuls about all the rules and restrictions and who's going to be allowed in, how they're going to be allowed in, what you could do if you're allowed to look at other people, if you're allowed to, restrictions. We're going to stagger minyanim and this and that, right? What did the Katzes do? They figured out a way to make the biggest tent possible. They paid staff to be there all night long, wiping everything down 24, the whole night. There was the smell of hand sanitizer was ripe in the air. But really, they, as opposed to figuring out how to be exclusive and to make sure the rules were followed, they figured out how to be as inclusive as possible with following the rules. And I thought it was just a beautiful thing that they did. And now I've been davening at our early minyan at the Kollel is going again. And I've been so just excited to be back in the base medrash. And I realized, I was speaking to Rabbi Lubinsky this morning, and I said, you know what this is? This is like Rabbi Lubinsky, stand up. Is that what that is?
Readjusting. I'm not in a comfortable position right now. I can't get comfortable. I don't know.
Sorry, yeah. So Rabbi Lubinsky and I were talking this morning about how, we've been very excited to be able to get back in the base medrash, and again, social distancing, mask, hand sanitizer everywhere, but that's this is like not even like a 1/60th. It's like a 1/6000th of what it's going to be like when the base of Mikdash is built. Because imagine for just the situation of here, it's been 3 months since Klal Yisrael has not been able to enter shuls. And now slowly but surely we're making our way back in. And it again, for me, it's been tremendously exciting. And I think that's what it is. It's really a little bit of that that David Melech talks about, that a little drop of what's going to be like when the Beis Hamikdash is built, when we get Eretz Yisrael back to the way it's supposed to be. Because here we were out of shuls for 3 months. Now we're getting back in. It's very exciting. So that's a one big hargush I've had, this time period. But the other one is just this beautiful idea I came across in Sipsei Chaim that he asked it really a simple question. He says that in the whole story of the Exodus, there's 3 different mentionings of Klal Yisrael being maminim, of Klal Yisrael having a emunah on Hashem. Initially, it's at the time of the Exodus of Yetzias Mitzrayim after the 10 plagues, where it says Amen Ha'am V'Yashamu Kippur Hashem Es Bnei Yisrael, that the nation believed and they heard the word of Hashem, that Klal Yisrael had been remembered. V'Kiras and Einayim V'Yitu V'Yishtachavu, and they saw and they prostrated and they davened to Hashem. Okay, that's at the time of Yetzias Mitzrayim. Famous pasuk by Kriyas Yamsuf is V'Yaminu B'Hashem Moshe Avdo. That after Kriyas Yamsuf, after the splitting of the sea, they saw all the Egyptians die, and they said, "We believe in Hashem and Moshe, his Eved." And then again at Har Sinai, it's the 3rd time. It says over there. V'Yaminu it says over there. Hina nochi ba lecha ba ba'avanan, that behold, I'm coming the cloud, Vishma Ha'am, the nation heard, B'divrei Amcha, the words of your nation, V'gam b'cha yaminu l'olam, and they also now believe in Hashem forever. So Rav Chaim Fiedler asked the question as to okay, you would think about faith, emunah, which is not really faith. Faith is like every other Hebrew word we try and translate, it's always lacking. And translating emunah as faith is a lacking translation, because emunah is a lot more than faith. Especially as Moshe Shapiro explains that it's not, emunah is taking knowledge and inculcating it into who you are. Now, Rabbi Spiro, I know you like that word inculcate. That's why I said it. But it's making knowledge real. That's what emunah is. And so, but again, you would think about, like, you either have emunah or you don't have emunah. Why does the Torah tell us 3 different times at these 3 different points? Oh, they believed in Hashem. So it says that if we look at the shorish of emunah, it's the same shorish, the same root as umnus or uman, not uman as in Nachman and Breslov, but a craftsman, a craft, right? Umnus is a craft, and uman is a craftsman. And when you have a craftsman, there's different levels of craftsmen. Like the example I gave last night was athletes, right? You have LeBron James, and then you have Omri Caspi, and there's a big difference in their craft, right? There's a big difference. They're both basketball players. There's a big difference in them. And then there's me, and I'm somewhere in between Omri and LeBron, right? Not really, but right? But because that's what umnus is. That's what an uman is. So says Chaim Filiner that emunah is the same way. That there's different levels of emunah, and the initial level of emunah was what Klal Yisrael came to at the time of Yetzias Mitzrayim. That was Metzias Hashem. They believed in the fact that Hashem existed, and then the next level that they became. I'm sorry, I skipped one. The first level they came to is, sweetie, I'm recording right now. I'm recording because I didn't get a chance to. The first level they came to at the time of Yetzias Mitzrayim, that was emunah b'ashkacha. That was that Hashem takes care of the world. And then the next level they came to at Yam Suf, at the Yam, was emunah Metzias Hashem, that the existence of Hashem, the presence of Hashem. And then at Har Sinai, that was emunah and Torah min Hashemayim. So what's interesting, again, just fascinating, is that's the exact same 3 divisions of the Yogimel Ikrim, right? The Rambam's Yogimel Ikrim divide into 3 different sections, right? There's the first section is the order's different, but I don't think it's a problem. The first section is Metzias Hashem. The first 5 ikrim are about the existence of Hashem. The next section is Torah min Hashemayim, and the third is Schar v'onesh. Essentially, there's hashkacha that Hashem's involved in the world. And those
Sefer Ikrim also.
Right, no, exactly. So that's what the Rambam really based it on. He based on Rav Sadia Gaon, who started with those 3. So what I had missed in all this, like preparing this class and everything, and I had to see Chaim, is that it's really right there in the Torah. Right, it was right there, and Exodus, the Exodus and Kriyas Yam Suf and Shavuos. And then he also goes on to say it's really also the Shalosh Regalim, but that's really what we start with Sadia, went on with the Rambam, and it comes really just from the beginning.
Rabbi Yosef Albo also. Rabbi Yosef Albo and Sefer Ikrim, which is after the Rambam, he just has 3, and those are the 3 he has: Metzias Hashem, Schar v'onesh, and Torah min Hashemayim.
Yeah. No, that's so I'll just give you one more Moshe Shapiro, and this is gonna be a next week's class. We're gonna get into this a little bit. Is what do we call somebody who is a heretic? We have a couple different names. Moshe Shapiro goes into the different ones and what they are. But what's the one at least from the Haggadah, right? What do we call a Rasha and the Haggadah?
Kofar be'ikar.
Kofar be'ikar, right? Ikar is lashon yachid. It's singular. So it sounds like that a Rasha is somebody who, sweetie, we call her red-handed. So a kofar be'ikr is somebody who denies an ikr. Why isn't it kofar be'ikrim? I mean, whether it's like this, if you take out the Torah, it's 3. I mean, the Rambam's 3 categories; they become 13. So the way that Moshe Shapiro says it is really there's only one ikr. There's one ikar. It's ani mamim b'muna shalema shabaris baruch shemo hu b'rei mani kol abririm v'hu levado sevi asav yas lechol masim. The first one. That's it. That's really the ikar. And someone who denies that is a kofar be'ikar. Explains to Moshe that the next 12 are an outgrowth of that. The next 12 are just the details.
I mean, it's the same idea as number 1, the Gemara in Makis, which says that he said Tarek mitzvahs can be summed up in one mitzvah. Tzaddik b'emanasu yichya. A tzaddik lives with emunah. And you look at the argument amongst the Rishonim, do we count the Neich Hashem Lekech as a mitzvah? Not everyone holds it's counted in entire mitzvahs.
Right.
Why not? Because they hold it not, you have to believe, but some Rishonim say the Bahag says, and others say that the belief on Rehash Shavuos is the site of Kol Kula. Right? It's not a mitzvah; it is the entire Torah is based on this mitzvah. It's like the people who say that. I heard people that that I was learning Hilchos Geiros with the guy on Shavuos. So the fallacy, people say, well, look at the Rambam. The Rambam says you need 3 things to become a ger. You need, for a man, you need korban, bris milah, and tefillah. A woman, you need 2, korban and tefillah. And then going to the mikvah. And it doesn't say anything about kabbalas and mitzvahs. We look at the Rambam's lashon before. He writes, a person wants to come tachas kanfei shechina and be makabel the mitzvahs and accept the mitzvahs. These are the things you need to do. In other words, accepting the yoke of mitzvahs is not a condition of gerus. It's a prerequisite. It's the only thing that makes sense. And that's what Amunah is. Amunah is the underpinning of the entire Jewish system. A person doesn't have Amunah in Hashem, but there used to be a blog by a guy who called himself the Orthoprax Rabbi. He claimed he was a regular from rabbi, and he doesn't believe in Hashem anymore, and he has all these big proofs about it. But he's Orthoprax anyway. What difference does it make? He follows the mitzvahs.
Pascal's wager, right?
Yeah, but in any case, I don't think I believe it was true. He removed the blog after like a year. It was gone. But it was
again, by the way, just so all our listeners realize, if anyone wants to know about obscure blogs from random rabbis, Rabbi Spear is an expert in all of them. So you can
really not. These couple, like I said, I'm always fascinated by the people who have crazy beliefs and don't give up on them, even under all evidence. That is something that I don't know why, but appeals to my brain for some reason.
Yeah.
But
no, it's fascinating. I agree. As somebody who's in the business of Damad Latashiv, and you are too. You're very. I mean, again, just different places on the spectrum, so to speak. But I'm also. It blows me away that people can hold on to these things, and what I can find myself doing sometimes, like your Taiva with this guy from the Karaite blog, is I want to engage like missionaries. Now I believe that when a missionary comes to the door in our neighborhood in University Heights, that it's a mitzvah d'oraisa to make them a engage with them, beat them up, drive by fruiting them, run by fruiting them. No, but really to engage with them and let them know they're not appreciated, it's not welcome, because like it's just a chutzpah. They walk into a frum neighborhood and do that. Now, when I see them at a football game, I have a taiva to do it because it's fun, but it's a waste of time. And it could be a chil Hashem, and not even really chil Hashem, but whatever. I wouldn't do it. There's no tachlis in it. But when they come to my neighborhood, that's when it's a different story. So yeah, I'm right with you on that. That it's that I'm always fascinated by the people who hang on to just what seems so just beyond logic. Literally just beyond logic.
Right. I was thinking about emailing this guy, emailing the crazy guy with the podcast. I mean, what disturbs me is if you look at the rankings of Jewish podcasts, he's ranked pretty high.
We should get him on the show.
Ever going to give him in on? Oh, we can't give him a platform.
No, not at all. And that's what it becomes. And that's why, look, there's
you can invite me on a show, or you invite you on a show. That'll be different. Right. But if I invite him, we can't invite him.
No, I agree. It was a joke, but it's very much along the lines of it's very much along the lines of a great fundamental lesson that I got from of all people, Louis Farrakhan, Yamach Shemo. So do you remember there was a video of Farrakhan about a year ago or so where it was like the anniversary of the Million Man March, and he was speaking about, they call Farrakhan an anti-Semite. I'm not anti-Semite. I'm anti-termite. Right? You remember that one? That was a great one. Great line. And then he said such a fascinating lesson on that after that there's given me such pause as somebody who's active in social media. And I think we all have, and Rav Noach Weinberg held it stark, that we have an obligation to really fight anti-Semitism and the anti-Israel bias.
Really, I would I'm not questioning Noach Weinberg. I would love to know a source for that.
Let me rephrase that. The anti-Israel bias. I don't know if he went as, but he was. That was Rav Noach. That was the whole Hasbara, honest reporting. Honest
reporting still exists. I haven't seen it in a while.
It exists, but whatever. That's Rav Noach held. It was important to fight it. So whatever, be it as it may. So, but here's what gave me pause on it. And if Rav Noach was still here right now, I would ask him this question. So because like as if you've ever read the book, think it was Dennis Prager's Why the Jews. It was Dennis Prager's book, right? So it's what's that?
Dennis Prager and Telushkin.
Oh, Telushkin wrote it too. I didn't realize. Okay, so they in there they use Hitler's words, right? Which is because if you want to understand why the Jews, you got to look what Hitler said. So along those lines, let's look what Farrakhan says. So he's quoting his Rebbe Khalil Muhammad, and he says that he heard from his Rebbe Khalil Muhammad a mashal, and this is the exact words he used, by the way, a mashal of a chamor of a donkey that fell into a pit, and no one liked that donkey. And everybody would come along and throw stones at that donkey when they was in the pit. And eventually until the point where there were enough stones in that pit that the donkey got up and walked out of the pit. Right? Very telling lesson there. And because Louis Farrakhan basically said, I love it when the Jews go after me. Because they go after me, the whole world knows who Louis Farrakhan is. And he's right. You know, when you yell about Louis Farrakhan, and here I'm doing it right now, but I'm trying to make the point of, you know, that when you yell against this guy for saying I'm not anti-Semite, I'm anti-termite, you know, yeah, okay, so our dedicated listeners who are not anti-Semites will agree with me and say, yeah, that's terrible. But then all those anti-Semites who listen to our podcast, you know, now they know about Louis Farrakhan.
I thought Khalid Muhammad, one of the greatest lines of all time, where he said that the word jewelry comes from Jew, who used to deal in jewelry. One of my favorite lines I ever heard. But in any case, let's end off with I'll say something interesting thing I saw. I actually saw it after Shavuos. I said it in Shir last night. I learned it with the guys. So the well-known Gemara. The Gemara says that the Tana Rabban, the Chacham, that the Torah was given on the 6th day of Sivan. The B'Yaisi Aymer B'Shiva of Sivan, it was given on the 7th day of Sivan. Gemara and Shabbos on Pei Zayin. So that's obviously a major problem. How do we celebrate Shavuos on the 6th day, according to Rabbi Yossi? So the Maharal learns a very simple answer. He says the Rabbi Yossi and the Chacham are not arguing. He says the Chachamim are saying there's two elements of happen on Shavuos. There's the giving of the Torah, that Hashem gave us the Torah. That everyone agrees we celebrate on the 6th day of Shavuos, even Rabbi Yossi. Because on the 7th day of Shavuos, we're celebrating when Klal Yisrael received the Torah. So it's two separate dynamics. And if you think about it, those dynamics go across every aspect of Yiddishkeit. The aspect of what Hashem has given us, and the aspect of how we receive that which Hashem has given us. Look, it's in Tiferet, it's Maharal Tiferet Yisrael, Paraklav Zayin. And everything in Yiddishkeit is based on these ideas, based on us, on the word of Hashem, and then us taking the word of Hashem. And that dynamic goes through everything. And if you think about it, it really goes through interpersonal relationships as well, how a person relates to their spouse and to their friend and to their parents. All relates to the same idea that the understanding of the relationship as is and how we perceive the relationship. What people say to you and how you perceive it. And everything works in those two ways. And it shows it's two separate avodas. The avodah both of listening, of hearing, but then the avodah also of receiving. You look at the Mefarshim talk about the difference between Shema and other expressions of hearing, but it's such an important dynamic. So really, I think Shitas Rabbi Yossi is just saying that, what does it mean? You could say this is my own chiddush. Maharal doesn't say this. That I don't want to say in his name. The 7th day of Sivan is really just the rest of the year. And it's saying that we know that the pasuk says, "Kol gadol lo yasaf," the pasuk in Devarim, that the voice of Hashem speaks forever and does not cease. Kabbalah Satira is still happening right now. The voice of Hashem speaks to us right now, still talking to us. And
I think you're right. Yeah,
that the Shita Rabbi Yossi it happened on Zayin Sivan, which is a paradigm really for the rest of the year, for the rest of our lives, really.
Beautiful. And it goes very much in line with when we talked about this like last week or the week before, but the whole concept of what actually happened on Vav Sivan. Again, the debate amongst Chazal, either you call Yisrael heard the whole Seres Dibros, or the whole Seres Dibros Dibor Echad, heard just the first two, and then but there definitely there's two things we got. One was the Seres Dibros, and one is the understanding that Moshe is going to be the Navi Mikol Navim to give over all the details. you can really ask like kind of I guess a little bit of a klutz kasha or a kichel kasha or lazer kichel kasha
Kichel, by the way.
What's that?
Loser kichel.
Oh, like LOO. How do you spell that?
LUZERKICHEL.
I'm sorry, I got it wrong. Yeah, I'm sorry. One of these days I'll learn how to do it better. Anyhow, I spelled it. Oh, I spelled it right. I just didn't pronounce it right. Got it. Okay. Anyhow, so okay. So with whatever explanation we give as to why those two details or categories of things that Sarah Dibros and understand that Moshe was going to give us to be Rabbeinu were important, but like once Hashem has us all there, just give it all over already. Right? Just give it all to us. Give us the Taryag mitzvos. Just give it all to us. Okay, yeah, we'll still need Moshe because we're not going to remember it all. We're going to have questions. It's going to be, but why not just give us the whole thing? So I think what you're saying is actually the answer, because the hemshech of Sinai is an eternal. Yeah,
going on till this very moment.
Right, and this very much goes into the machlokas that you forbade me from talking about this season of the show, but there's a whole different point in it. But the machlokas Rashi and Ramban as to what the purpose of the Mishkan was. So Rashi is of the opinion. I'm sorry, Ramban is of the opinion that the Mishkan was just a hemshech of Har Sinai.
Right.
Right. That it was literally a hemshech of a continuation of Har Sinai. Whereas that's Rashi, right? And Ramban is of the opinion that it was just a cleanup act for the whole idea of b'chol makom you can know Hashem everywhere couldn't exist after the Chet Egel. So, but yeah, very much that idea that at least with Rashi, it's that Sinai was not a one-time event. Sinai is an all-time eternal event. It's netzach. It's nitzchias.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. And Rabbi Spiro is putting up our show notes here, so you have them to review.
It's very neat on this. I apologize.
Yeah. But I think only you can do it as the host. I don't have hosting rights here, so I can't write on there with you. All I can do is give you a hand and a thumbs up. So I'll do both of those. But anyhow, it's always a pleasure to have you all out there. Hope that everyone had an amazing Shavuos. Hope that you're enjoying the Shiva Yemei Tashlumin now, the afterglow, as I call it, Shavuos. Hope that you all have a wonderful Shabbos Nach Shavuos. And as we always want to leave you with, a big old fat welcome to the guest.
Welcome to the guest.